Hello and welcome to the Power BI June 2021 update. In this video, we'll explore what's new this month and see some demos of the highlights. We have some exciting new features for you in the reporting section. First, we're happy to announce the long-anticipated paginated report visual for Power BI reports is now available in Power BI Desktop as a public preview. For the first time, this native Power BI visual allows you to render any paginated report you've uploaded to the service in a Power BI report. You can also use fields from your Power BI dataset as parameter values, giving you a fully interactive experience with paginated reports, just as with any other visual. Next, you can now set the transparency of the colored areas in your area and stacked area charts. Before, area transparency was defined at 60% by default. Now you can adjust these values in the Data Colors card of the Formatting pane. You can now also adjust the inner padding of continuous axes in your Cartesian charts. Cartesian charts with categorical axes have an inner padding option in the Formatting pane, which allowed you to adjust the size of the padding between category bars, columns, and clusters. The inner padding option helps you determine the thickness of your columns and bars and the white space between them. And you'll be happy to know we're adding this option to continuous axes as well, allowing you greater control over the look and feel of your charts. Next, continuing our work on the Small Multiples preview feature, we're introducing two new updates this month. First, we've enabled support for the responsive toggle in the General card of the Formatting pane. And second, we've added conditional formatting to small multiple titles and background colors. Ren will show us a demo of these additions.
We've done a couple cool things regarding small multiples this month, and we're excited to be bringing them to you on our way to general availability. The first is that we've enabled support for the responsive toggle in the general card of the formatting pane. So responsive visuals will very usually drop and slowly drop chart elements like axis titles, axes, and legend as their size shrinks. As you can see here, the x-axis begins to drop as well as the y-axis title, and then eventually the axes themselves and then the legend. This provides more room for the plot area, allowing you to visualize your data even in smaller and smaller visuals. So for small multiples, we hadn't quite enabled this feature yet, but now we have. So in small multiples, the responsive breakpoints have been adjusted to accommodate for the potential presence of more than one plot area on the visual. So what this means is that small multiples visuals will generally begin to shrink padding and drop chart elements a little bit earlier than non-small multiples visuals, allowing you to make room for multiple plot areas. Actually, to show you an example, let me make the padding a lot larger, and we can see as the padding shrinks naturally as we shrink the plot areas. So the purpose of this is to allow for multiple plot areas to still demonstrate the data themselves without without other elements taking up precious real estate as the visual gets smaller. Although responsiveness is on by default, the responsive behavior that you see here, like you're seeing, is not going to affect the visuals that are large enough to provide a clear data visualization. So only as they get smaller is responsiveness really going to begin to affect what the grid padding shows you, whether or not you can see small multiples headers or whether or not you can see the axes themselves. So that's the first thing that we've done. The second thing that we've done this month is that we've also added conditional formatting to small multiples titles and background colors. So now if we look in the grid layout option here, we can change we have like the FX button next to the background color now, and next the same thing you can see for small multiples titles. Now we have FX colors for font titles for those. And with this, you can use your small multiples titles and backgrounds to assist in communicating important aspects of your data. So let's take a look at an example. I've got sales across categories for these different countries here. So for background color, suppose I want to have the background show off exactly how much, how high these sales are in total across these different categories. So, I can simply go here, go into the conditional formatting dialog, say I want a gradient from dark purple for low to light blue for high. And then we hit OK. And as we can see, the backgrounds for the small multiples have been colored according to the total of their sales. Alternatively, the same thing that we can do for other conditional formatting for colors exists here. So if we wanted to format by rules, let's say that we wanted to, if the value of sales amount is greater than 5 million and is less than 100%, then we'll set this to blue for, the sales are good. And if we wanted, similarly, if it's less than 5 million, then we'll set it to red for, our sales are underperforming in these countries. And then we'll hit OK. And as we can see, the countries that have had sales that whose total exceeds 5 million are labeled blue, and the countries that have had sales whose total does not exceed 5 million are labeled red. So we can use the background colors of our small multiples to begin communicating status about our data as well. So these are the two features we've added to small multiples this month. We're excited to be bringing these to you, and be on the lookout for more coming soon.
In the Analytics section, we're excited to announce an improvement to the Q&A visual for inferred results. When your end user's questions are ambiguous or incomplete, Q&A will need to make some assumptions to produce a visual for these kinds of questions. For these scenarios, Q&A would return a visual and natural language restatement based on our interpretation of the end user's question. However, it was not evident to users which part of the results were inferred, if any. In this release, we've improved the experience by adding a showing results for restatement for these cases, with explicit bolding for the inferences made by Q&A. The user can then click on the restatement for the visual to automatically update the text of the question and then further adjust its wording. In the modelling section, we've heard from many of you that it would be useful to have properties set on a remote model that you've connected to flow through to your local model. This release continues our work to support this functionality, allowing formatting strings to flow from your remote source to your local. We have several updates for you in the data preparation section. First, we're excited to announce that data query support for Power BI data flows is now generally available. You can now connect directly to a data flow without needing to import the data into a dataset. This can be useful in a number of scenarios, including working with big data flows, decreasing orchestration needs, serving data to customers in a managed performant way, and not duplicating data between a data flow and a dataset. To use this capability, toggle the Enhanced Compute Engine to On in data flow settings, and then refresh the data flow before it can be consumed in data query mode. Next, the Select All operation is now supported for dynamic mQuery parameters. Back in October, we released a preview of the feature which allowed report viewers to use filters or slices to set the values of an mQuery parameter, which can be especially useful for query performance operations. Dynamic mQuery parameters did not support the Select All operation, requiring users to individually select each value if they wanted to see the data for all values. Now, in this release, we've added support for the Select All operation so that users can select all values for the query parameter with a single click. In the Data Connectivity section, we have a variety of new and updated connectors this month. First, we're excited to announce the release of the Assemble Views connector in Power BI Desktop. The Assemble Views Power Query connector allows users to extract building information model data from the cloud in pre-packaged datasets. Once imported into Power BI, users can employ these views using the analytics tools available to create complex workflows and reports. Data trends can be quickly identified by including a date parameter that specifies the point in time at which to load the data. We are also excited to announce the release of BQE Core Connector. This connector gives users the ability to seamlessly import their raw core data into the Power BI application, as well as transform it into meaningful, centralized, visual, and interactive insights for their business. This new connector directly in-app helps core customers create custom dashboards and reports and ultimately make more informed business decisions. Our third new connector is the Sum Total connector in Power BI Desktop. This connector will help to launch Sum Total platform OData APIs as datasets within the application. Updated connectors this month include Adobe Analytics, Anaplan, Azure Databricks, Cognite Data Fusion, Dynamics 365 Business Central, FactSet Analytics, Google BigQuery, Starburst Enterprise, Vessel Insight, Workplace Analytics, and Azure Consumption Insights connectors. Next, we have a few updates for you in the service section. First, we are allowing data owners to make their dataset discoverable even by users who don't yet have access to the data it contains. As a data owner, when you have a trustworthy dataset which you consider as having data that others can benefit from and use to create their own reports, then you'll probably want to endorse it first. With this release, that endorsement will make it discoverable by others, who can then request access to it if they don't have access already. Further, to support these dataset discoverability enhancements, we're also introducing the ability for users to request access to data they find interesting. When an end user requests access to a dataset, they'll be shown a dialog message with details about how to get access. By default, if no special instructions were set, the access request will be sent by email to the user who created the dataset or to the one who assumed ownership. Yaron will show us a demo for this powerful new addition to dataset discoverability.
Back in December, we've released the Datasets Hub. The Datasets Hub is where analysts can go and find data that they have access to. They can see the related reports, create new reports, or do analysis in Excel. What we've heard from customers is that they want users to be able to find also data that they don't have access to yet. And for this purpose, we are releasing now the discoverability feature for datasets. Let's see how it works. As one of the dataset owners, I can go to the dataset settings page. In the settings page, I can see the endorsement and discovery section. In this section, I can see the Make Discoverable checkbox. This is allowed only to promoted or certified datasets to promise that the dataset that is shared across the organization is in high quality. So now let's see. When I move to the dataset to be promoted, this checkbox is automatically set. I can always opt out if I want to. Once a dataset is made discoverable, it means that anyone in the organization can find a dataset in the Datasets Hub and then request access to it. To complete the picture, we have added request access configuration. The default will be to send a request access over email to the dataset owner. There are cases that you want to avoid requesting access over email, but you want to define the flow for how end users can request access through internal services or apps. For this case, we have defined a custom instructions user can provide to let the end user know how to do the request access flow. Now let's see how it looks for the end user. In the datasets list, I can see now the datasets that were made as discoverable and I don't have access to yet. This is one example for that. Revenues FY21. I can see the request access action and click on it. In this example, I can request access over sending an email. Another example is the sales analysis FY21. Click on Request Access. Provide me these custom instructions that were set by the dataset owner. I can follow the instructions, copy the link into my browser, and request access to this dataset.
Next, we are happy to announce the public preview of mandatory label policy support in Power BI. One of your top asks was to help ensure that new content brought into Power BI is brought with sensitivity labels. And when mandatory label policy is enabled, users will be required to apply labels when they upload PBIX files to Power BI, create new content, or edit content that doesn't yet have a label in Power BI. The mandatory label policy can be configured in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center as part of a label policy published to users and is separate from the policies for Office files and emails. We are also introducing new Power BI admin APIs to set and remove sensitivity labels in Power BI. With these APIs, Power BI admins can easily and effectively apply sensitivity labels on large numbers of Power BI artifacts programmatically. During the Microsoft Build conference, we also announced the public preview release of the Deployment Pipelines APIs. This new set of APIs enables developers to retrieve pipelines info and trigger content deployments in a pipeline. With the PowerShell samples, it's easy to integrate deployment pipelines with existing DevOps tools like Azure Pipelines. Data flows can now also be managed inside deployment pipelines. Data flows will have similar capabilities as other items managed in deployment pipelines, including detecting and highlighting updates, deploying data flows across different stages of the pipeline, automatically binding connected datasets to their respective data flows upon deployment, and setting rules for data flows. To help Power BI admins handle pipelines, including orphan pipeline situations where there's no pipeline admin available and no one can access the pipeline, we've also released a set of admin APIs to help Power BI admins view all existing pipelines in their tenant and add users to any pipeline. In the mobile section, we're introducing a preview of the Power BI Windows app New Look. This new look features a completely revamped homepage that provides a centralized hub for all your Power BI content, giving you quick and easy access in one place. To enable the Windows app's new look, get the latest version of the Windows app from the store and look for the New Look toggle on the top right-hand corner of the screen. Mobile apps also now support passing parameters to paginated reports via URL. Passing parameters via the report URL automatically sets the report parameters to those values. In the visualization section, we have several exciting and updated visuals available for you on AppSource. New this month are the Power Slider visual by TME AG, the Growth Rate chart by Degini BV, the Stratada Program Task Board by Stratada LLC, the Charturo Interactive Line Chart by MI4 Corporation, the Multiple Sparkle Lines visual by excelandaccess.com. Updated this month are the Drill Down Combo Bar Pro visual by Zoom Charts, the Dumbbell Bar Chart by Nova Silver, the Graphimate Bubbles visual by Graphimate, the Zebra BI Tables visual by Zebra BI, and the Zebra BI Charts visual by Zebra BI. More information on all of the new and updated visuals can be found on our blog and in their respective links in the video description below. This month's editor's picks are the Drill Down Map Pro visual by Zoom Charts, the Brick Chart by Mac Software, the Hierarchy Slicer visual by Jan Pieter, the Horizon Chart by XViz, the Card with States visual by XViz. You can find these editor's picks and all of the other mentioned visuals on AppSource. We have some new updates for you in the Template App section. Template apps allow you to save time by connecting your own data to a pre-built report that you can personalize and share. First, we're excited to announce a new capability that makes it easy for Template apps users to update their apps in one simple step. Previously, after installing a template app update, users had to go to the template app workspace and republish the organizational app to enjoy the update. Many users found this step confusing and weren't sure what to do. The result was that the org app often did not get updated and thus never included the recent changes and improvements. Now, when you install a template app update, you can choose to update the organizational app as well, enabling you to update the app, navigate to it directly, and continue your work. You'll find this new capability as an option in the template app update dialog. We also have a new template app for you this month. Salesforce Analytics for Sales Managers includes visuals and insights for analyzing your marketing performance. This dashboard provides key metrics such as your sales pipeline, best accounts, and KPIs. Drill into the report for more details on each aspect, including fully interactive visuals to help you explore your data further. The Salesforce Analytics app is brought to you by the Power BI team and is available on AppSource. If you're interested in trying this new template app, please check out the link in the video description below. And that's all for this month. And as always, we hope you enjoy the updates and please keep sending us your valuable feedback on what you'd like to see in upcoming releases. Thanks for watching and we'll see you again next month.